ladies and gentlemen, welcome. I see everybody putting away their laptops, getting ready. I see that we have quite a focused audience today. I like to say focused audience. So I would like to invite everyone, because we are going to be doing some more interactive questions and answers. And please do come forward to the front rows. I've personally made sure that none of the panelists bite.
We won't.
We won't.
We're fine.
Yes,
Please
somebody
come
has to
forward.
take. Yes, thank you so much. The brave souls. This is also a 3D event, so we will be moving in and out.
Ja. Kijk, die gasten. Ja, durven jullie ook? Iets naar voren? Kunnen we net ook iets beter met elkaar praten?
No, you won't be forced to ask all of the questions if you're front row. That was one of the questions. We will make sure of that. No. But it does make it easier for us also to do a little bit of call and response and give you the opportunity to ask questions without the microphone.
Ik ben benieuwd hoe het geluid is.
Okay. I think we may still have some people walking by, sneakily looking whether or not they want to join, but we are just going to kick this off. Welcome. Let's start with a big welcome to all of you. Thank you so much for joining, being the audience in this panel. Ultimately, to start off, maybe a question for the audience. Who doesn't have a staffing problem at the moment? By raising your hands. If you don't have a staffing problem, please do raise your hands. Okay, this is we were really hoping to have someone else on the couch here to help us. In the back, is there no? No. David, any help? No? Okay. All right, then we're going to kick this panel off. Today we're going to be talking about employer branding. I have the pleasure of being joined on stage by three people that are very passionate about employer branding. Joachim from Bunk Hotels, Gabriella of Esther, Gabriella, Esselbrugge. I'm so sorry. That's all.
No problem at all.
I'm trying to switch between the Dutch pronunciations.
Let me introduce my colleague. This is Gabrielle.
Gabrielle, that is much easier. Gabrielle, thank you so much.
Thank you for the branding.
Yes, I'm so sorry. And last but not least, Esther the Visser. Esther, I would like to start with you, because for you with employer branding, daily operations, doing it every single day, concretely, what does it mean? What are we talking about when we say employer branding?
Wow. Can anybody hear me correctly? Okay, great. Employer branding, it's such a large activity, I would say, because it holds so much in it. But it's basically putting the meaning of your brand out in the world.
Nice. I was thinking you were going to go on, but that's fantastic. Keep it nice.
No, I mean, I like to have short,
Good. So why is it so important in relevance to the question that we ask the audience, and to say the staffing crisis? Where do employer branding and the staffing crisis, where do these two meet?
Yeah, well, we believe that employer branding, of course, is one of the major things you need in order to attract staff, and also to enhance the loyalty in your company. Yeah. And also there should be how your brand is posed outside, on the internet, in the media, and if you have a certain identity of your brand, then the people that apply at your company, they should find exactly the proof of that identity in your company. So employer branding is not only something that you do outside of the company, but also very much so inside your company.
I'm going to take it to the other two panelists. Thank you so much. Do you share this viewpoint?
I think we are like a family-run company, so our values are within the family, and every member of the family represents like our brand. So I think like in the end, and also the guests are aware of this. So it's like a total package actually, and people should feel part of that, and should feel at home. That's very important to us.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. It's all for us. It's all in the family values.
I think what's really nice is we're going to find out more about the companies and the branding that you do individually as well. So we have the professional side, and I thank you so much for establishing a baseline. The family side, which is especially with the Dames van de Jonge, or the hotel concept that you own, and then we move all the way to the other side of the couch.
I think it's broader. I think employer branding, it's not the word branding is in it, so it's a kind of misleading. I think it's the first thing you need to do is to have a very good company culture. And I always see it as you have a consumer brand and you have an employer brand. There are two circles, and in between they interfere. All the companies spend for ages already a long time a lot of energy on their consumer brand, and now the last 10 years, the hospitality industry, they also focus on the employer brand. So, but the base is to really have a very strong organizational culture, to know who are the people you want to work with, what's their DNA, how do you train them, how do you keep them, and when that base is there, then you are able to brand it and to attract them. But if you're not able to keep your talent, then that should be the focus first.
Maybe a practical question, but could you pinpoint as to where that movement or ideology started?
I think it didn't start in the hospitality industry. I think it all started with bigger companies, and we just learned from it.
Exactly.
And there are many people, many companies who are doing it very well. We all know Tony and how they do it.
And also from the very far past, company brands like Coca-Cola that everybody knows, that everybody loves. If you say blue, what do you say? KLM, right? So those companies are doing things right.
I heard a few other things as well.
Sorry, I don't want to insult people that are also have a blue logo.
No.
But but I just mean it's brands that are so well known, and of course in a commercial way that's what you want. But you also want this for your staff to recognize themselves
I
in that
even
brand.
really think like your team or your family is part of the brand experience. Yes, I always say like hospitality is the science of attention. So without them, there's no brand, at least for us. So if you consider them being part of your brand and your brand culture, it really works well.
I think an interesting discussion is where does the branding start, or where should it start? Because for you it's family from the inside, this is who we are, and eventually we're communicating that to the outside, or is it from this is the industry, this is what we see, everybody's doing X, we want to do different from that, so taking external towards internal, what do we need to change internally? So where should we start? And I see you nodding over here, Esther, so I'm gonna...
Yeah, well, for us at Leonardo Hotels, it really starts from the inside. And it also has a reason, because on the screen you see that I work for Apollo and Leonardo Hotels. And 3 years ago, the Apollo Hotel Group was taken over by an Israeli company called the Fatal Hotel Group. And they have the Leonardo brand. And one of the major strategic decisions that we made in 2018, beginning of 2019, was to rebrand the whole portfolio into Leonardo. And actually 2 weeks ago, we succeeded. And that was because we have had 2 Corona years, of course, because we wanted to do this in 1 year, in 2019. In 2020, sorry. And that didn't work, obviously. So only 2 weeks ago, we succeeded in rebranding the whole portfolio. But what we noticed is that the name Leonardo is not as well known yet in the Netherlands, in Benelux, as it is maybe in Germany or in Israel. And so we could not basically lift on the commercial brand. So we had to start. We also were forced to start internally and to build our brand from the inside. And what we chose to do, also because the Fatal Hotel Group, the values of the Fatal Hotel Group and the values of the Apollo Group were quite alike. And that's why we found each other to be partners. It was like a very high entrepreneurship. It was a very high value on personal development and professional development, on really being able to build your career as an employee and to keep your staff close. That is one of the major values of the Leonardo Group, which we also adapted into. And we have started to build the culture for ourselves by giving staff a lot of personal development chances, basically, and to have a great Leonardo development lab that we have developed, so they can really build on their career with us. And we don't see hospitality as something that you only can work in when you're a student and then you have to leave when you have children, because then, you know, it's too hard work and too many hours and whatever. We really see it as a possibility to build your career.
So let's latch onto that, because I think that ultimately is a very interesting point to say employer branding versus possibly industry branding, the hospitality industry and the brand from the hospitality industry. In a prior conversation, Joachim, you also said is like we want to change the image that the hospitality industry has, or it is so much more than the image that it's sometimes, or how it's sometimes depicted. So how are we going to change? Well, maybe how are we going to change? Maybe it's
Well,
too big of
it's
a question, but to say like,
Yeah,
how are
the-
you trying to change that?
It is a challenge because it's the bar around the corner, but also the Michelin star restaurant. We are all the hospitality industry. So what we can do as hospitality companies or the hotel companies is that we try to see if we can work together and make sure that not only the students but the professionals from other hotel schools, that they really choose to work in the hotel industry. I think I did hotel school. From my class, I think only 10% went into hospitality, and only a few of them are still working there. And we can change that as an hotel company.
Could you pinpoint why? Would it be possible for you to say like, why are they deciding against the hospitality industry?
Working hours, salary. You really need to have a passion for the hotel industry.
Work-life
to
balance,
work.
I would also think.
For sure.
Yeah, and then the latest 2 years in Corona, that hasn't helped either.
No.
So, yeah,
Nice.
being open, being closed, being open, being closed, it's not good. But
So-
we can change it, I think.
I was going to say, like, we'll try and stay
Definitely.
optimistic. One thing I really liked, and then I would take it to you, Gabriella, what you said as well, is to say, for me, the culture sort of, or the branding came with the culture that I had, and people started coming back without me doing the branding consciously. So without making the conscious decision, people still came back.
Yeah, people. When there wasn't a possibility to grow within our company, we helped those people to go to another company where they can have like a certain growth, especially focused on like hospitality and healthcare. And nowadays, people are still coming back. After a while, they come back when they see like a vacancy, a job they really like. And also when we have like events or when we organize something, until like my grandmother started the company in 1958. And so some people are already 80 years old that used to work in our company, and they're still coming for the company outings. So it's like really like a family, and those values are like very nice because these different like energies are coming together, and these different people and generations are coming together, and they talk about, and their grandchildren are going to work in our hotel or in our hospitality company, which makes it like very awesome to work with them. And they talk about their grandparents and share the stories. And when we don't have like a position for them, we help them with other companies to go there, or we take them to outlets we have in China, for example.
Yeah. Maybe an interesting philosophy from what you said is ultimately you help people further their career perhaps in another industry.
Yeah.
Could we say that there might be an opportunity to help bind people to us by letting them go, which is seemingly the opposite of perhaps what we should do, but trust that they come back eventually?
Yeah, if you trust in your company values, in the hospitality values, and also I think you should have good working standards and like also good salaries and so on. I think, that could work. And
Could
also
work.
help each other. Like, for example, when you have a big event but not enough staff, why it's difficult? Just contact each other and make sure you can help each other out. Yeah, especially in the countryside,
Yeah.
that's easy. Just give a call. You say, I need 10 boats, and they're there in 1 hour. Yeah.
Okay.
Excellent.
Other panel members, I want to give you the opportunity because I saw you edging towards like, hey, I want to say something on this.
Yeah, I think that letting people go is it's always a good thing when you can't learn them anything anymore. You can give them opportunities, but when you're able to do that, and I think that should be the focus, is to make sure that the whole culture you have and you are developing is that you on every level that you can always give them a new challenge, and not everyone could be a general manager because we only have 2 hotels at the moment, but there are a lot of opportunities. And for us at Bunk, we noticed that many people who go to hotel school, they want to work at a big hotel chains. And one of the things we want to do with our employer branding is that showing them that especially working for smaller companies like Bunk, also in a budget segment, that could be a very good step for your career
Why?
as a first step. because all our management is, I think, the average age of the management is about 30 in our company, and the people who work for us are all millennials and Generation Z. Yeah, they like that. We know. So.
So you say give them endless opportunities in the company, and here we say, well, if you can't give them any more opportunities in the company, let them go. But you would rather say, even if you're struggling, try and always find something else.
Yeah, I think we have many. We just reopened the place, so we need a lot of people. So to me now, letting people go is
no, of course,
it's a difficult option.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I do
Something we
believe
don't do.
that we should do everything, of course, to keep our people. But if somebody really wants to leave, I mean, people also have their own life, right? And they have their own interests and their own path that they want to follow. And there could be like a few years that this path is with us, and we should make the most out of it. And then they will also stay the longest. But if they leave, then we should not feel, I don't know, maybe let down by them, or we should make them hard to leave and refuse to let them take their holiday days, for instance. I mean, if you know that you say it to your child, if you want to keep them, set them free. I mean, it is really that. And then you have a really good relationship when somebody goes, and then somebody can also be an ambassador and saying on LinkedIn, you know, I'm leaving this fantastic position. Who else is up for it to take my place? It's a great company. So you should always say goodbye to your staff with, you know, toeters and bellen, so as we say. Always make it
the most festive way possible. Yeah. So how do we translate this into employee and employer branding? Because ultimately that is a very difficult thing to translate, I can imagine. Just say, welcome, thank you for joining. If you want to leave, you can leave. That's
I wouldn't put it that way.
No,
I give them a loyalty card.
for the sake of
exactly, something like that. Or have like an alumni company group, or say from the start, we will support you in every step of your career, whether it's the first step or the last one with us. I mean, why not?
I think an interesting topic which we're coming into is honesty. Honesty towards your consumer, towards your employee, to say, well, if this is not it, at least let us have an open and honest conversation about this. So how important do you find honesty in employer branding in this topic?
Yeah.
If you all want to say just yes, it is important.
I want to speak right away.
No, it's the same as what I said about you have a consumer brand. If you sell rooms and you tell them that it's 25 square meters and the guest comes and it's 10, of course, it's the same with the employer brand. You should really do what you promise them. So of course.
Yeah, that's what I meant in the beginning. When you put your brand out there, your employer brand, and you focus maybe on, you know, 2 or 3 things that makes you extra special as an employer brand, then the staff that actually comes to you and works for you, they should really see the proof of what you tell the market. So you should see the proof. If you say, you know, we work on your career, then you should have career programs that people can really enter and really follow. And you should not only do it for window dressing, it should be real.
Is that an issue? Do you consider that there's, well, we don't need to name names, but do you consider that there's...
No, definitely not
that it's out there?
Naming names, but sometimes, I mean, as a management team of a company, you should also really make a choice for something that you stand for. And you cannot only say that you stand for something, but you really should do it. And in Corona times, it was very difficult to offer our staff trainings because we have no income. We have had very little income in the past 2 years, and we are building up now and having the trust that we're going to be back. But in this hard situation, it's also important to still, you know, back up your choices and to make, even though it is little money, to make it free for that choice. So we still did our career programs and we still did our talent programs, and maybe a little bit less than we used to before Corona, but we still did it. And that's why I believe that we have been able to keep a lot of people with us, because we really have
a success story, I think.
Given them a career. Yeah. We have never promoted more people than in the past 2 years. also a little bit because we had to be honest. I mean, if you have no one else, but that's not nice. If you have something that's talented but maybe not has the full capacity yet, then help them to build those capacities.
Very nice. I got a little signal from the back, and what I would like to do is take some more time for Q&A to give people the opportunity to ask questions themselves. I have a whole list of questions here, but ultimately, you as a collective probably have more well-formulated questions than I do. So please, yes.
So I was speaking here yesterday on your seat, talking about mental health in the industry, and before that there was a session about the staffing crisis. And together with my business partner, we are doing a very in-depth research about this topic, employer branding, staffing crisis, etc. And I love what you're saying, especially as a Leonardo hotel group. You have plenty of resources to do whatever you're doing. But as we are the independent hotel show, we have smaller companies here, they find cost an obstacle to do whatever you do. So how do you find the balance between investment and actually creating what you're creating?
Yeah, good question. Yes, good question, thanks. Within this Leonardo Development Lab, which I'm speaking of, there is many internal trainings. We are really using the talent that we have inside. So our controller is doing finance workshops for people in the hotel management teams. And food and beverage manager is doing trainings on food cost for other colleagues. So we have a lot of internal trainings, and we have a lot of trainings that we have that we got for free from our suppliers. And so we try to do it that way as much as possible. Yeah. And even, oh, sorry.
No, you go.
Well, we have something like a master class, which is a program of almost 1 year. And we have 3 of those for 3 different groups of people. And one of them is for kitchen talents, kitchen employees. And this is fully developed and also given and supported and organized by staff themselves, by one of our chefs and the HR department and other people surrounding that. So that's the way we do it. And also, I have to be honest, we also work with an external party, of course, because we can. Yeah.
Actually, we did it a little bit different. We cooperate a lot with the vocational schools in the area. And we decided they have a lot of online classes, and a lot of our colleagues also helped. And we set up a House of Hospitality 2.0 or 3.0, whatever. So everyone was allowed to follow all these classes, and they gave guest lectures about the topics they were doing very well. And actually it went so well during COVID time that we're going to give more lectures, and we also can for free can take part of the classes they're giving in those vocational schools, which is very interesting because it gives a lot of opportunities, especially for small scale hotels like ours. Because for every department we need also the people working in the operations, so we cannot ask them to give a class every day.
Nice.
Other
Other questions?
I just thought maybe as an extra, during COVID time, we created an online academy. So we searched in the whole market what kind of online, you mentioned health, for instance. There's so many online webinars that are for free that you can actually enter. And we have made an academy out of that only. So that's what we did.
Other questions? I hope I didn't scare people by sort of asking them to come to the front row.
There was two
all
leaving there. They were scared.
Thank you. I think if you look at the employer branding, there's a lot of, I would say, the technical sides. And so, as you said, so Esther, you're building a career development, all that kind of standard stuff, so to speak. But how do you stay competitive in this talent war? So, of course, there is a talent war. I'm still wondering, what are the nuances? And besides all these things that you have in place, but what are the nuances? Because how do you translate, for instance, your culture? How do you translate that in order to get, for instance, more people on board than the other hotels. I'm still wondering where that piece is, where the success factor is in getting your people on board.
Yeah, it's a very good question, and it's really, really hard to actually stand out in such a large crowd, because everybody is basically fishing into the same bowl, right? And we all want to be special in the market, so that people only see you and not the others. I think that's not really possible. I don't know. It's quite difficult. And what we have chosen was really to focus on what I said, on that you can really build your career, that you talk to Generation Z, and also that you have a really good balance between work-life, and that you keep your staff close, and that can be something else for you, and it can be something else for you, but that we really engage with the person and make it a personal relationship between the employee and the employer. And it is not that we have all kinds of fancy conditions of employment with bicycles and scooters and whatever and fancy other things. Of course we have, things like you can sleep for free and eat for free and whatever, in the whole world. But what makes us special, I think, is that we are so personal and close with our people and let them develop. That's it.
Yeah, and I think also depends on the. We are a small company, so we have only one people in HR and 2 trainees, but we also use some software which helps us to reach out. We used, for instance, Recruity. It helps to promote our jobs on our job page, but it also has a link with Indeed and all the big job boards, and all the management has a profile there. So when the chef sees that another chef is replying on a vacancy, he can directly schedule the whole journey. The whole journey can be tracked in the software, and you can even offer the contract. So also to act very quick and to make sure, and to have it automated that you post your vacancy on one platform and it goes out to I think 10 or 15 websites. It's very easy and saves a lot of time.
Yeah, one thing I want to, because you spoke about this before, the concept of the employee journey. I thought it was an interesting principle. I think this plays into it very well.
And see also, the same with the consumer brand. Everyone is spending a lot of time on the first touch from a guest who wants to book a room until the last email they get when they stayed, and then when we ask them about the review. The same thing you need to do for your employee journey as well. So on which websites do they first see you? What is the information which is there? And then when they apply, how fast are you calling them? How is your onboarding? So what we did with Bunk is that we had a traditional onboarding. We asked our management to do a presentation about their department, but it was only sending them information. While we say that also that we value very much also the meaning of the staff itself. So we come up with a game, an escape game, and now when someone enters the Bunk, in the first week they do an escape game, and they learn about all the DNA of Bunk, nice. And they find it out themselves, and it works very well. So all those things, and it doesn't cost a lot of money, but it's something which is different than the competition.
Sounds cool.
Yeah. 2 people are excited to do the escape game. It's like, oh, can we? Yes. Did they turn your microphone off?
Working?
Oh,
Yeah,
there
it's
we go.
working.
Yeah.
I have another question. So again, going back to our research, there's another problem that many companies, smaller, bigger ones, encounter at this point, which is the difference between, or the misunderstanding between the current way of working and mindset and the newer generations coming up. So again, if you are a big company, maybe you have things in place to communicate your strategy. But if you would bring it back to the smaller entrepreneurs, and let's say hotels with 30 rooms or even a restaurant with 40 seats, how can they start in the middle of a staffing crisis, starting to connect and communicate with the newer generations to create a brand that they would understand?
I think it's much easier, to be honest, when you're small. I really think it's much easier when you have a small company, because you're possibly much more connected with the people around you, with your neighborhood, with your the students around you, with the connections. And I think, like especially for us, like even when children go to school, like local schools, regional schools, we know our potential, and I think that works very well. Sports, whatever. So for us, I think it's even easier to reach out to them without a lot of technology. But in the end, of course, like if you need a lot of staff, if you need like 50 new employees, then it's more complicated.
Or 150.
Or 150. Yeah.
It's a lot of small
Yeah.
conversations.
I have a question. So sort of looking at other industries, tech companies, tech startups, they let their employees buy into the business, and that kind of gives them more of a ownership of the business, and they feel more invested, they want it to thrive. Is that something that you've considered or are looking at? Do you think hoteliers should be looking into that to kind of create that longevity of their career, more investment in the business?
Ooh, it's a very interesting question.
I'm always creative, but then I rather start and make a new startup and develop it ourselves as an industry, yeah, together with technology partners.
I thought you were going to say open to offers, but that's very much open to offers, but that's not.
No.
At the moment, I would say that we are not looking into that at the moment. We do feel, however, that nothing should be undiscussed, and every opportunity should be, looked into. What we do think, however, but that's a personal opinion of mine, and I haven't yet implemented it in the company. I would like to renew some conditions of employment to create more commitment to the company. For instance, if the company makes a profit, then everybody should be able to get something of it. And not only the person that works in sales on a bonus target, not only the general manager, not only whatever, me or a CEO. I don't believe, let's say, in bonuses in that way. I do believe in sharing the company's good fortune with everyone. So that's one thing that I'm thinking of this year, to propose something to our team to see if we can do something with that, and then make the commitment to the company a bit higher if everyone can actually profit from it. So,
Yeah.
but putting shares out there, we haven't yet done that. I mean, we are at the stock exchange in Tel Aviv for part of the company, but to be honest, I'm not very. I don't know much about that, so that's somebody else's.
It could be very interesting to do that. And also in terms of bonus scheme, we had a bonus scheme at Bunk for everyone. But during COVID, we sat with everyone on the table and we asked them a lot of questions about our conditions. And one of the things we found out, or which was part of is that I think 80% didn't want the bonus scheme anymore, but they just wanted to have a higher salary, a fixed salary. So that's what we did. So there for the staff, there's no bonus scheme, and we hired all the salary. So and to me that was a surprise, because I always thought that bonus scheme is a very good working condition to have, but they just wanted to know.
Oh, it's good to know.
What is,
Yeah.
Write it down.
Yeah.
Yeah, hi. Just to add on that, I work for a company that did this kind of in different brackets. So depending on your impact and maybe your decisions, your bonus was higher. So if maybe your salary was, you were in, let's say, a more impactful bracket, so your salary was normally higher, but part of your salary was more bonused. While let's say the entry level employees, they just wanted more money, but less amount of bonus. So and that works really well. So it's just kind of dependent on your impact and your decisions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dividing
Okay. Well,
just a thought.
thanks for sharing that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nice.
Good.
The questions are starting to come in now. You're going to be running around.
I'm wondering what you guys did in order to. We are talking a lot about the competitive market and how we all need more team members to join. So we are more willing to play with salaries or different conditions, trainings. But what are you guys doing to retain your OGs, the people who are with you from day one? Because they see that new team members are getting a lot of new benefits. How are they incentivized, or what are you doing to retain them?
Right. I can answer that, but
Yeah.
I
It
also
would be
want to
fun
leave you
if-
to it.
Yeah, you can start.
Yeah, sure. I don't know if I understood your question correctly. You were saying that people are coming in with more benefits than the people that were already there?
I have the feeling, because the market is so competitive,
Right.
that where before we would stick to
Yeah.
a certain salary.
Yeah.
This is a salary of a waiter or a receptionist.
Sure.
But now, since we see the market is growing, we are also offering a little bit more here
Yeah,
and
we're
there.
stretching it a bit, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, that
but
is
what
exactly.
are we doing with
Yeah.
to retain your fixed team members?
I see that happening as well, of course, because people also ask us for more money. I want to come and work for you, but then I want 200 euros more a month, otherwise I go to the neighbors. And then we say, okay, fine. But what we do is we are really keeping within a certain margin. I mean, we cannot stretch it too much, because we know that if we do it, in 5 years' time, we will have people maybe in the company all having high salaries, and we will get into trouble. So we do stretch it as much as we can. And also now, luckily, the collective labor agreement is also finally giving a little bit more, but it's better than nothing. And what we do for the people who are already there, of course, we are not going to hire somebody on a much, much higher salary than somebody who's been there for years. So we're also trying to bring those people up to the new standards a little bit. And also, what also helps a lot is, I don't know, it's something I'm telling you 100 times, sorry for that, but it's the opportunities for people to get trainings, to get growth, to get into special talent programs and things like that. That actually gives people a little bit more, to look forward to and to get them more perspective. Also to promote people a little bit sooner. I think our hotel chain is really known for promoting people just a little bit too soon. And normally that works, because then people really have to climb and they really have to make an effort. So that's always really good to see. And then we help them with trainings and coaching. And sometimes it doesn't work, but then we also catch the people and then we give them another job and then maybe try again in a year. But it's bringing up the salaries also a little bit, and don't make the difference too large. Yeah, and sometimes I basically cannot hire somebody because you're asking too much and we're just not going to do it. And then I just trust that my neighbor in a hotel will also not hire the person. So the person will think, okay, then maybe I'll go for the 200 euros less.
Did you wanted to add something to it, or?
Yeah, of course, it is an issue, and we face it as well. But what we try to do, there's always a margin. So it's not that everyone in the same position will earn the same. It's not always possible. But if we, for instance, now the kitchen, the salaries in the kitchen are way higher than we used to pay 4 years ago. But what we also want to keep the people we had who are working already with us for 3 years. So we also are hiring their salaries as well. We know people talk, we don't want to be not to be satisfied about that. So we hire all the salaries, and in the end we need to have the same margins. So which means that the prices will go up.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Yeah, I think if you wait until they tell you, then you're too late. So you always need to do that yourself. Yeah.
Maybe a quick question to all of you is how big is salary? Like how important is salary for people when they come to the job interview? Like with the new generation, Gen X, Gen Z, sort of like, do they sit there and say, well, if you're not going to pay 100 euros more, then forget it?
Yeah, I think it's very important for
Yeah.
them. They are used to work with temper, so they're very. They know their value. So yeah, I think, and not even for them. I think for all generations, so it's just very important to pay a fair salary.
Well, no, a fair salary, I completely agree. But I think simultaneously, sometimes you hear stories of the new generation say, okay, we find sustainability so important. We find it important that all these other factors in a job are there. But that's why I find it really interesting to sort of just ask you guys to say, okay, in your experience, how important is salary?
I think salary is still important.
Yeah?
Yeah, of course.
No.
It's like the basic foundation for a lot of people to whatever for their family and so on. But also I think like work circumstance and also like days off or whatever, flexibility is like a very vital thing in our contracts right now. And also like the functions. People rather combine different functions instead of like working in one department or so I think like that's, to be honest, like our we are sometimes a little bit old-fashioned in the functions that are there in hospitality. I rather create together with a potential people, like a function around like what are your capabilities, what do you want to learn, how does your growth path look like, and then you create like a new function that's not there yet. So then you have a totally different discussion on salary.
No, good. Yeah.
Yeah, I really believe that salary is not the number one thing that gets people in your company. I mean, all kinds of American and European studies, they show that salary is not the number one thing. It's actually the culture, the people that work there, the atmosphere, the care for people that you have as a company. I think that's the most important thing. And of course, it should be a fair salary, definitely, because you need to pay your mortgage, right?
Yeah.
But I do believe that you can reach so much more with people if you care for them and if you listen to them. And that's also where your employer brand comes in. Because if you communicate that right, then people are more inclined to come to you.
Yeah.
That's what we think.
That's I hope so too. I think we have time for one final question from the audience.
I suppose from an employer branding perspective, one of a very important emotion to create is a sense of pride in working for the brand that you do. So are there anything specifics that you do to create that sense of, I feel really proud to work for this company and therefore I'm loyal to it and I will be retained by the company?
Good question. I think there are many things for Bunk in our DNA. What makes people proud? It's the building they work in. We are converting all churches. We don't work in. You work in your own clothes, and it's a very easy thing to do. But what I always notice when I work for the bigger chains is that the story is that you can be yourself, but to really be yourself is also to be able to wear what you want to wear that day. And if someone decides to wear a onesie, well, it's okay. But they need to know why they do it. And we are able to do it because it fits our brand. And what we started 3 years ago as a Christmas gift to make hoodies, really nice Bunk hoodies, only for the staff. And we have them now every year and in 3 colors. And the new people, black was the first color. The new people, they want to have the black one or the blue one, which was the second year. So all those little things, it's easy to make them proud. So yeah, that's to me.
Nice.
I think our local culture and location are also very vital for our company. Because it's a lot of people are coming back to like our area and they want to work in a company that also gives value to the national park area and to Giethoorn as a village. And we are not only like a hotel, we're also promoting our destination as one of the 2 companies doing that. And people value that very high. They think it's also important they're part of like doing that. And also we're doing a lot for our neighborhood, which is like very interesting, like local gatherings, drinks and so on, and organizing a lot of activities. Due to COVID, that was kind of complicated. But we took a lot of care of elder people in the whole area. And I think people really love that because instead of like going to the hotel, they went to other people and brought them coffee or cake when they normally come to our hotel to, to drink coffee and cake. So stuff like that. It's very small things. And we are still family run, so people really want to work within the family. And they love the story of my grandmother having no education and starting that. And also they know that they can have like a certain growth and also be part of like that family.
If I
you
may
can
add
I was
one
going to say,
thing,
but
or-
then brief, yes.
Oh,
Before-
very
yeah,
brief.
Yes.
It is something that we call intrapreneurship, which is basically giving people in working groups the opportunity to come up with ideas and also really make something out of it. For instance, we have just created a new food and beverage brand, which is called Leo's Bar and Restaurant, which is the Leonardo Royale food and beverage brand, restaurant brand. It was created totally by staff. And they are so proud of having done that. And we really give our people credits in our, our communication app, which is called Speak App, on LinkedIn, on wherever. We give them credits for what they've done. So that
Nice.
makes them proud.
Then on that note, I would like to give all of you credit with a big round of applause. Thank you so much for joining me on the panel today. Thought that was a nice little transition. And then I'm sure that you might be around a little bit if people do come and have any remaining questions that you didn't get a chance to ask. Other than that, thank you so much for joining this panel and enjoy the rest of the Independent Hotel Show.
Thank you.
Thank you.